In today's podcast, I am joined by Luke Van Dyke. We talk all about his quest to release on Hot Creations, what it's like to be young in the scene, and also his early influences in music in general. So let's get stuck straight into this podcast. So how are you, bro?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm a little bit bored lately because I've got a new job. We could talk about that later as well, but I'm working for Amazon Prime. I'm making content for their Instagram in the Netherlands.
Wow,
And
sick.
yeah, it is something else. But it's I'm doing it 3 days a week now, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and it's just it's boring as fuck. And but yeah, I can still pay the studio. So
So is the Amazon just temporary job?
yeah, I think so. Yeah. As soon as there's
cool.
some gigs, I'm sure I'll just fly off.
Yeah, I was thinking that was maybe a career change then. Some content creating for Amazon, but just temporary.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm very well. I had a weekend in, so we're recording this on a Monday, so it's always nice to have a weekend just chilling, did some work, some music, and then today, feeling completely fresh, rejuvenated,
Nice.
and made music all day. But at the moment, I'm getting really distracted and trying to make music, like checking Instagram, Facebook, and all this shit. And
Yeah.
today I really got stuck into the studio, but it tires you out, man. Like a full intense day in the studio, I'm exhausted.
Shit. Yeah, I know. I understand. I'm sorry. It's so late. Yeah.
Oh, it's cool, man.
Cool.
So we actually met in Manchester. Do you remember a while back?
In Manchester.
Yes,
Oh.
that's why I had your WhatsApp, because you came to play a gig at Joshua Brooks, and then you came to I played a
Yeah.
gig somewhere.
That is true. Yeah. Weren't you at Junction the day after, or was that?
No, I came to. It was funny because you flew to Manchester, then I flew to Amsterdam the next day to play for Piv at Brett. So it was like
Oh,
swap.
sick.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So someone asked me an interesting question yesterday on Instagram, or Saturday. They said, "What do I think of the lack of door picking policy in the UK?" And in Manchester, it's not really a problem. And in
Oh.
Amsterdam, is there such thing? When door picking, so they bounce from the door, will only let certain people in, and it's kind of infamous in Berlin. And that's what the person said, that in London you get a lot of bad crowd, and there's none of this door picking there. But in Manchester, there's no door picking in Manchester. But yeah, the crowd's kind of is cool in Manchester, so you could say it's better than London in a way.
Yeah, in Holland, like in Amsterdam, you have some like you had the School, and the School was a club that came after Trouw, and they really did like they wanted to have the Berghain vibe, like if you have a tie and a suit, you won't come in and stuff. But in Amsterdam, it's so hard to fill your club that everyone just like come in, just what's up. But yeah, no, I already like this, so let's go.
Yeah, I think I just said that I do my own party, you can't be saying no to people. if it's okay if you're the cool dancer on the dance floor, but as someone who throws parties and as a DJ, you just want the party to be busy, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And then the vibe is already good. We don't have like in other scenes in Amsterdam, like with the urban scene. You get a lot of sometimes there are like fights and stuff. And then maybe it's good to do the door picking stuff, then really just look at people if they're too drunk or aggressive or something. But like in the house scene, everything is just cool.
Yeah. I agree, man. So let's take it back to the start. We've actually been in contact for quite a while, and one thing we've got in common is we're quite young in a scene where a lot of people tend to be older, because I think it takes a while to kind of find your way with this kind of music, but we're two people who have found our way at a younger age. And I'm really interested to know is, what was your first steps into electronic music, and how did you really discover it?
Like, I just got a Facebook memory thing, of a picture from 9 years ago that I was playing at my school as a graduation party. But I already was playing house then. I remember I looked at the picture and I really got the vibe. Like, oh, I looked at my old it were the first CDJ 800s and a weird Numark mixer. And I really could hear again what I was playing, and it was like a lot of disclosure and it was quite funny to see. But it really started like a long time ago. I remember the first gig I had was in primary school when I was I think like 12. We did a musical and I said like, yeah, I want to DJ after, and I had the first like all-in DJ console with CDs, and then I was playing like EDM, because in my house back in the days, like there was a lot of different music. My mother is a opera singer, and my dad is a musical teacher, and they both met on the conservatorium. That is like a music school. So music, there was always a lot of different kind of music around. My father listened to jazz mainly, and my father played the piano. My mom would sing to it. It was very cool. So in like back in the days, I had a swing in my house, and I was just swing like for hours and hours and listen to music, radio or the CDs that we had, like from classical to hip hop from my brother, and rock and whatever. So I was always influenced by a lot of different kinds of music, and I always listened to the radio. And I at some points there was this show on Slam FM called Clubbing, and the DJ always played like EDM and Afrojack, Chesto, and that kind of stuff. And I was like, well, holy shit, what is this kind of music? It was just so. It was really about DJing, and that was the first. I think for me, the first steps into electronic music, because I really was so curious how they mixed. So, like now, if you want to be a DJ, you can watch tutorials and you can have lessons in DJing. But back then, I just really just listened to how the DJs. Okay, I eventually at some point where I was listening to the show every week, and you had guest mixes, and I heard that song last week, and then you could really hear that there was a new song coming in, and I was just listening to, okay, how is he doing that? And then eventually, after all those hours of listening on the swing, it was so funny. One of my neighbors, a friend, came in with virtual DJ. And then that was the first thing for me that I just like, okay, I can download songs now, or just we had the free record shop, it was called, and you can buy CDs there, and I just bought a lot of CDs and put it in the laptop, and then started mixing on my own. And I was like, I think I was 12, and then for my birthday, I said to my parents, like, hey, can I please have a DJ set? And we bought this Behringer controller for the virtual DJ or the Tractor or whatever it was. And then I would make my first mixes. And that was kind of, I don't know. It was my hobby. So after school, every time I went home, I was just play with it for hours. And then eventually I could mix. And my dad also came home with, because he was a musical teacher, with Cubase. And I always played the piano for 7 hours. like in a week, because my mother thought it was very important for me to play music, play an instrument, also for my brother. And from like 6 to 14, I played the piano, and then eventually I went to a teacher, and he teached the piano in jazz. So yeah, it's just a lot of storylines, but I'm trying to blend it in. So about jazz, it's all about improvisation. So I learned chords, and then improv, and then eventually I thought, oh, this is a cool riff, and I was already like composing, and then I just put that into Cubase with my dad, because Cubase was so hard, and then I would play those songs on Virtual DJ. So it really was, it came both at the same time for me, like DJing and making music. But that it's just like DJing was like EDM, trance, dance, house, whatever. So it was a lot, but that was so cool, and I think it really helped, like DJing and listening to a lot of different music.
And at this time, did you have any friends in school that were in the same kind of music taste, or was it literally just you getting lost in the headphones on the swing?
Yeah, I think no, I didn't have any DJ friends, so it was just me on the swing, listening to music, and like I and then you hear the stories of the DJs there, like yeah, I'm flying to Miami and this and that, and I was like, oh shit, that sounds amazing. and I like back in the days, before the whole dance thing, I was always into hip hop, because my brother listened to a lot of hip hop, like 50 Cent and Tupac, like all sorts of hip hop. And then I really wanted to be a rapper, so that was the funny thing. Like I when there was an opportunity, you could do something like a presentation. I would do a presentation about hip hop, or if someone's birthday was, I was rapping. It was just so fun. Then eventually, I got into dance because of the radio, and house. Eventually, like I really wanted to make EDM, and it kind of worked. Like for 4 years, eventually I made like tracks, and they were quite okay. They were okay, and then eventually, I went to I was born in Hilversum, and you have this festival every year. It was free. It was called Hilversum Alive, and you had like stages, like 5 stages, in the center of Hilversum. Hilversum is between Amsterdam and Utrecht, by the way, and so I it was my first experience. I was like 15, I think. And I heard all the DJs play, and I knew how they were doing that, and I was like heavily influenced, like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing, I want to do this too. And then eventually I heard that was fun. I can remember that my brother just bought his first car, and we were just driving around, and then he put Hot Since 82 on. I think it was Cry Mumbai. Now, and I heard that, and I was 15. I was like, ooh, this music is weird. I'm not sure if I quite like it. And then that was the fun thing about house and tech house. Like everyone said, like, yeah, you have to hear it out loud, with drugs and whatever. But I was like 15, and I only heard it in the car. So I was like, I don't know what do you mean. On that festival, I heard Bart Skills in 2001 play, and there was like, holy shit! And they were playing techno and house, and they played the first song that I really remember hearing out loud and thinking, what is this? Was All Right by Mark Knight. This is like this super epic tech house tune, and I was like, okay, this is insane. And I really can remember a photo of me on that festival on my own. Like there weren't that much people, and I was like in front on my own with my eyes closed, listen to that music. I think I was drunk for the first time as well, and it was like, holy crap. Okay, no, forget about all that EDM stuff. This house techno tech house thing, whatever it is, that is the shit I want to make for the rest of my life.
Sick, man. So it sounds like you fell down the rabbit hole and just went deeper and deeper and deeper.
That's it. Like, so it was tech house, and then I was, okay, this is so cool. Okay, and then I dived in and I found out about Joris Voorn, and I listened to all the radio shows of 2001, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is so crazy. And that's the cool thing about I still like to dig a lot, and because when you're new to a sound of music, I really can feel it again. Like, you can just search into those mixes, and then like, holy crap, okay, this is sick, I really like that. And that's just how I kind of found out about all the music, just to listening to those mixes on the swing, and listening to, okay, how do they mix this, and this is what is this kind of sound. And I really wanted to make it as well, but that was the hard thing about tech house and house, is that it's so minimal that you have a few elements, and it was really hard to have fewer elements and really make every element count. And that was like EDM. You had like everybody used the same sound, and it was just about epicness. And with house techno, it was like, okay, how can it be more stripped back and fewer elements, but still so refreshing or interesting? Because that's always, I can remember that when I had my first gigs, I used to play house, dubstep, no, not like house, just like trance, EDM, whatever. And I wanted to play tech house, but people didn't really understand it because it was just too boring. People say it was too boring, but it was quite interesting because I started to play house and tech house in my hometown Hilversum, and people didn't get it. But then eventually, people in the Netherlands, like, going to tech house and techno parties was cool. So everybody's brother and sister went to Awakenings and to Amsterdam to go to the parties there. So, well, I was just chasing my own sound in Hilversum, and people didn't get it. Eventually, people, heard about the tech house and the house and techno sound in Hilversum, and then I was hot. Like, it was so funny because all the other DJs, like, oh, look, because he had some DJs in Hilversum that played like EDM. Yeah, me too. And then eventually I started to play house and techno, and people didn't like it. And then eventually, the coolness about house and techno came around in Hilversum, and then I was the guy. So that was really funny. And then I got gigs again, and I think this was around 16, and then shit started rolling.
Sick, man.
Funny, yeah.
And it's funny that you say about the thing with tech house and minimal whatever. There's so few elements. I feel like something you've really nailed in your production now. And is that something you've really kept in your mind the whole time with production, using less and getting more out of it?
Yeah, it's funny because the first tracks that I made were like deep house tracks, and I really because I always played the piano, it was just really funny for me to I just experimented, and I can remember that I recorded the piano with my iPhone and then rewinding that stuff, and it was just a really different sound I'm making now. It was more musical, and it was with eventually I started making like just bangers, and then now I that's just the funny thing, because if I listen back to the music I made like 5-6 years ago, it still has the soul. It really has soul. So I still really like it, because it was just me in my studio, like making melodies, and then making something from the heart. And that's the cool thing, because now I can still really enjoy that. But if I listen to tracks I made 4 years ago with just beats and bass lines and and whatever, I'm like, oh, that's I'm you can get really used to that and then just not remember it anymore. That's because also like beats I made 4 or 5 months ago that didn't came out obviously, but beats that I made it's making beats is easy, but making something for you that you remember and really have the soul in it, that's the stuff that really sticks. And yeah, I'm so that's the funny thing about back in the days with music, just having fun. That is the most important thing, I think.
Yeah, I always go back to the idea of making timeless music. That's like a real goal of mine now, and it's so hard because I make these sick loops, these sick bass lines, these sick grooves. Then I'm like, "Oh, is it timeless? Is it going to sound good in 5 years' time? Is it even going to sound good in 6 months' time?" I think that's a massive question I always ask myself now, because it does get like, I almost think of it like a computer game making music. It's just a game, making these big drops and build-ups and this thing, but like the real level up is trying to make it sound timeless.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because everyone says to you like, hey, you have to find your own sound and do what you like, but that is so hard because everyone says like, hey, yeah, you should find your own sound, but it's not something that you really just find. It's even now, like I don't really think I have a sound. It's like the fun thing is that I like a lot of music. I like the more minimal stuff. I like more house. I like tech house still. It's just a lot, but it's something it just happens, I think, because that's the fun thing. Because if I'm making music and if I play it, my friends can really hear it. They say like, "Oh, that's your tune, right?" And I was like, "How do you know that's mine?" He was like, "Yeah, I don't know, just the hats or something. It's a vibe or it's a trick. You do something every 18 bars or anything. I don't know. It's just funny that it's searching for something is really hard." And that was also because of me, like, eventually when I was playing house and techno and really finding all those cool tunes 5-6 years ago, I really found out about Jamie Jones and Hot Creations, of course. And then it was just, okay, this is okay, that Hot Creation sound. I was like, okay, this is it. This is crazy. This is what I like. It's the bass lines and the Siri, shut up. It's the weird stuff. That's really when I found out. Okay, Hot Creations is what I want, and I wasn't anywhere with my music production, but I just made music and really with in mind. Like, okay, I checked out every set of Jamie Jones, and then eventually, okay, I think I get it, and I made music, and I was in the studio. Okay, can I see him play this? And that was all also before I saw him play, because I was like 17 and I couldn't even go into the club in Amsterdam or see him play at a festival. So I was okay, focus. And I was in the studio every day and making music for him, just for him. Like, and I sent out everything to him. But that's you have a mail address. Okay, here's my tune. But yeah, he didn't really respond or check it as either. So eventually, when I was 18, I thought, okay, I have to do it another way. So if he played in Holland, I was there and I make sure he saw me. So okay, he was playing somewhere, I would get my way into the backstage and hey man, and just hey man, I'm Luke. I make music. How can I send music? Here's the email, man. And I was like, oh, fucking hell, sick. So okay, so I got away from backstage to go into the crowd again, because I just wanted to dance to his music. And then I was like, oh, but this is the email I had already. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay, anyways, he was gone, and I was like, okay, I'll send him some more. Like, hey man, it's Luke. We've met backstage. I'm the blonde hair guy. And then no response, no checking the tracks either. So it was so hard. And then eventually, I had to find another way. So okay, I went on stage and I was like, oh, here's a USB stick. Here, just check it out. Okay. But yeah, that's the thing, because then they have your USB stick and you put this little README file in it, but yeah, you couldn't check if they checked it. So, okay, USB isn't a thing. And then I made some more music, made more music, and then he was in the Netherlands again, so I would find my way into the backstage again, and I said like, hey, and he's like, hey, how are you, Luke? And I was like, oh, okay, you do remember me, okay, that's good. And then yeah, it didn't work, so eventually I just said to his tour manager that I said like, hey man, I made music. He has to hear it. He just has to hear it. And he was like, okay, you know what? Here's my phone number. Just send it to me, and I will send it to him. And then, so at like for the 6th, 7th time I saw him, this was the way. I talked to his tour manager, and I talked to him, and I sent him some tunes. And like the day after, Maddie, his tour manager, sent me a WhatsApp with like, hey man, a video of Jamie Jones playing Dimension at Elro Madrid, and I was like, okay, oh
Shit.
so, holy shit, it just, okay, it happened. And I know because I made that track, and I was like, okay, if he doesn't like this track, I think I'm just gonna give up. And now he played it, and then he mailed me like, hey Luke, I like those tunes very much. I want to release Dimension on Creation. I was like, okay, it happened. This is here. But this is, we'll get back to the story later, because this was how it happened, like how old I was, because I think I was 17 or something. But that was the cool thing, is that he said like, hey, do you have more tracks? And I was like, oh yeah, I've got this, I've got that. Okay, cool. I think the EP is done. We'll have it released in 4 months. And I was like, okay, this is crazy. But yeah, I just kept on making music for him in the studio. And then eventually I sent him something else, and it was Parallax, and he was like, but dude, okay, this this is sick. This is fucking sick. So I was like, okay, and he was like, yeah, we can do that EP that I already signed the contract for Dimension and another track, but he was like, okay, but I think it's time. I think Parallax is cooler, man. I think we can just wait and release it on another EP, or we can put it on the EP as well, because he played it at Time Warp, and that was crazy, because I sent him that, and I saw this video of his Instagram that he played Parallax. Now I was like, okay, holy shit, this is way sicker. And then I said like, yo, if you want Parallax, be my guest. You're like, we can also do the Dimension Parallax. And he was like, yeah, okay. But that was funny, because the Dimension EP was already coming out in like 1.5 months. Or 2 months or something. So put Dimension as a B track, and Parallax is A side. I was like, okay, yeah, sure, it's your label, whatever. But the thing, what I was trying to say, that was really an eye opener for me. Okay, like Hot Creations was my biggest dream to release on. But the thing is that release happened, and yeah, it did all right. I got some shows out of it. But the thing is, like, I thought, okay, Hot Creations is the biggest label around back in the day. Then it still is super big, but I released the EP, and I was like, okay, this is the moment. Okay,
yeah, come
private
on.
jets, yeah, come on, private jets. I'll wear all the gigs at. Come on, and
the
yeah,
girls.
Where are the girls? and it did all right, but I expect that it would do more, but that's just because, okay, it's a big label, but it's still about the tracks. It's still about the artists. It's still about the input. It's still about so many other factors that come in. So, yeah, okay. Okay, the release is there, okay, and now what? Yeah, another one. So, I went to the studio, and I made a lot more. And then, eventually, I really lost myself. I was making, like, every track I made, it was Jamie Jones, and then let's see what happens. And he plays it, and then he doesn't release it. And I was like, okay. So eventually, like, I think 2 years after, I think like 1.5 years ago, I sent him like another 50 tracks, and he was like, and I was like, okay, but dude, what do you want? What is it that you're searching for? And he was like, yo, okay, next time you go into the studio, just make something that you feel like at that moment. Just put on your synthesizer, go to presets, and just make whatever comes to mind. And I was like, ooh, but yeah, I'm always making music for your label. And he's like, yeah, but forget about what's already released. Just you do you in the studio and send me whatever you think is cool. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, that is another way. I was too focused about him, and he was like, yeah, just you do you, and if it's cool, it's something for us. Because I could see the tunes that I made, and I thought like, okay, he's gonna dig that for sure. Otherwise, I'm gonna eat my shoe. But I also sent something like we called it how do you call it? Nah, anyways, I sent him something else, just like, oh, maybe you like this too. And those were the tracks that he really played. And now I finally have a release again, this time on Hot Tracks. Super happy with it. I got the artwork today. But those were like 4 tunes that I made just in the studio, just me vibing in the studio. Not something that I thought he was really gonna release, but that's the thing. I really found my vibe in the studio last 1.5 year, just me making whatever I really want. Not too much focused on other labels, because it was so hard to just make music and seeing it release. Because when I was making tech house, still making tech house, all the labels want the top 10 tracks and the stuff that really stands out, like the top 10 Beatport tunes. And it was so hard for me, just because always in the studio, like focusing, okay, it needs to sell, and it's it needs to be a top 10 track. And now eventually I really let that go. And that's the why I started my label Dark Side of the Sun, that I was just making too much tracks that didn't see the light, because all the labels were like, yeah, it's kind of a B-side, we need a more banger. And I was like, okay, yeah, then I'm just gonna start my own label. And I had it was at a point where I thought, okay, I have fans enough to release often and whatever I think they like, instead of just releasing if some labels want it, because it's also super important to give back to the fans, you know. So that was just it was nice for me to just, okay, I can just give something to them, and I can just make music, release it on my label, and release on other labels. So so now I'm in a really good place where I can just go into the studio, make whatever I want, and if it doesn't see the lights on a super cool label, I'll just release it on Dark Side of the Sun, or I'll just play it. So that really helped for my flow. That he said like, hey man, just do whatever you think is cool and focus on you, and then it's gonna be okay with releasing music.
Yeah, I think there's a few lessons to be learnt in there. Firstly, the persistence he showed to get that label, and a lot of the time it does take that dedication and obsession. I think even though you probably look back and think, oh, you made way too many tracks for Hot Creations, I bet you learnt a hell of a lot about production and creating that whole vibe in that time.
Yeah, of course. No, that was, of course, it really is. A lot of really cool tracks came out when I was making music for Creations. So that is not the thing, and it wasn't all sounding that the same. So that is just fine. But it's just me. It's just everybody. It's like time changes. Like back in the days when I started to make music, I thought like, okay, there are so many labels. I don't know where to release it. And I didn't think it was good enough, so I thought, like, okay, but I still want it to be heard by people, because there might be some people that like it. So I just put like everything I made I put as a free download of SoundCloud, with like the repost to download stuff, so it would help me getting more followers. But that was just me, just like, okay, I just wanna have it online somewhere. And then eventually I thought, okay, maybe I'm ready to release something on a label. And then Rausch came in from Hector Couto, and I'm still so happy with that, because Hector Couto was really like, he's so respected, and he just made a home for me where I could just release whatever I want, because all the tracks I released on Rausch, he was like, oh yeah, sounds cool, yeah, let's put it out there. And that really helped me getting more international name. And that was also the nice thing, because I was really searching for labels, and of course I sent everything to Hot Creations, but also Tool Room, Defected, and all the main labels. But I also thought, like, okay, maybe it's also good to invest a little bit more, and so I jumped on Rausch with because they were fairly new. Because I know, okay, they want to grow, and they are still approachable. I want to grow too, so that was a really nice combination for us both. And I did like 8 tracks there, and so yeah, that was really nice for me. So I could just release stuff, and it really helped. I think it was like also organic, nice for me to first do it on my own on SoundCloud, then getting some other labels, also Food Music from Shadow Child, who also gave me my first EPs, to getting myself a little bit more familiar with labels. And then eventually the more bigger labels came in, and the more better productions came in, and it was just, yeah, that really helped me making music. People believing in you. And
and just to go back to what you said about the expectations you had on the Hot Creations EP, and you almost thought when that EP came out, that was it, that game over. Yeah. And I've had them feelings before myself. Even recently with Locust, you think that after that EP, something's going to be different. You think you're going to wake up the day after the release and there's going to be a Ferrari outside and and whatever, a helicopter waiting for you. But that's an exaggeration, but you know what I mean. I think it's really easy to pin the next step, kind of always thinking when that EP comes out, but in reality, to really strive as an artist, it takes so much substance. It's not just one EP. It's even released on the biggest label in the world, you still need a whole package to go with it, the mixes, the social media, the other EPs around it, and it really highlights the competitiveness of the industry and the dedication it takes.
Yeah, that is exactly the point. That there isn't one single release that I thought before the release, okay, this is gonna be it, and this is gonna be good. And that is just the journey you're on, just, okay, making music. And sometimes something, I bet 80% of all the tracks that you made that are really good tracks weren't like you in the studio, okay, yeah, now I'm gonna make the best track that I've made. And that is just also with releasing, it's just that's like the fans. Okay, of course, releasing on big labels is really important because it helps you grow followers. But the followers you already have, they don't give one single shit where you release it. It's just if they like the track and hear it, just that's just because not because, but that is just nice that you can like. It's good. It's good to release on the big labels, but people just want to hear the tracks, and if they hear it and the track is good, that's just fine. That is the formula.
Yeah, a good track on a bad label is still a good track. A bad track on a good label is still a bad track. So it doesn't change. If you don't make a very good, it doesn't change. I think it's really easy to be sucked into it needs to be a big label. But yeah, a good track is a good track on whatever label. However, I do think it's kind of a waste of time at some degree when these random digital labels that kind of churn out one release every month and the music's like super poor. I think them kind of ones, I would say to producers, avoid them. But when your music generally speaks for itself, I wouldn't worry too much about trying to get the biggest label in the world. But yeah, a good track is a good track no matter what label it is.
Yeah, and that's like back in the days, DJs got familiar with the people. If they made a good track, they made a hit, and then people, okay, see who's the DJ, and then that DJ will be big. But I really got into like the game when I was very young, and also into a scene where a lot of DJs already played 12 or 13 years. So that was kind of hard to get in there, and also with releasing music, just it was hard to find the crowd or grow followers. And I thought to myself like, okay, how am I getting followers? But also because I went to the Herman Brood Academy. That's a university, or like there was a high school where you get every ins and outs of being a DJ and artist. And so that really helped me, of course. But they said like, okay, you can either buy your way into the scene. That also happens. You have like DJs who just throw hundreds of thousands of dollars in advertising and then get out there, or make a hit. Well, yeah, which is not that easy. Or just social media was also getting bigger and bigger. SoundCloud was just around the corner, and Facebook was there. So I thought like, okay, I've got to music. I don't get the plays. Okay, how can I do this? And I was like, okay, I just maybe I should focus a little bit more on social media, because all the big DJs, like the cool DJs, were just making music and playing it out, and then sell their records. And I was like, okay, I don't have the gigs. How do I get the gigs? Okay, making music, because that is kind of the way you get gigs, by making music. But I thought, okay, let's focus on social media. How can I grow followers? So I thought, okay, I always like to have a laugh, and I thought, okay, maybe I should do more with that. So there was this viral video through Holland, some guy saying, fairly poor language, I fuck all your moms. But that was the fun thing, because he basically said like, I fuck you all the moms. So that everybody know that video, and everybody liked that video. So I thought, okay, maybe I could just put that vocal in one of my tunes, because I just wanted to have likes on Facebook. So I was filming myself into the studio. I am making beats, and then that viral part, I put that before the climax, and I just put that on Facebook and Instagram, and that really that exploded. It got like I think like 5,000 likes in one night, and I was like,
wow,
holy shit, it's happening. It worked. And then people like, okay, what is that track? And also like radio guys messaged me like, hey, can I have the track? And I was like, oh, but and also like Oliver Heldens, who was fairly new, then said to me like, oh man, can I have that track? And I was like, okay. So I also got a little bit of attention into the more commercial world. But the track, I only had like 14 seconds of a track, because it was for Instagram. So I went home, just made that track, and I put that out as a free download, and that exploded. It got like 100,000 plays in 1.5 months.
Shit.
So that was, for me, that was the point where it was like, bam, okay, sick. And then I had all the tunes already on the SoundCloud, also getting plays, and it was like, okay, crazy. But it was just a joke. It was like, okay, but it's all fun, but okay. So I made more tracks, all put it as a free download, and the socials were going. So it was super nice that I found myself a platform where I just do a little bit too funny on social media, be a little bit too personal on social media, because all the DJs were so cool, and look at us, like we're cool in the studio, and I was like, oh, look at me, I'm in the bathtub, I'm listening to music, whatever. So that really worked, and that was getting me more gigs, because I was going viral bits on Facebook, and doing everything with a smile. I was just personal. I did social media different than the other DJs, so that kind of that really helped for me. And then eventually I started to go a little bit more serious because you can't. Eventually I would just sit on my home. Okay, I gotta do something fucking funny today, or it's not good. People will forget me. And then eventually, like, okay, wait a minute, it's all about the music. And then that really paid out. And that brought me my first like 6,000 SoundCloud followers. So and like the first 8,000 Facebook likes. And then after that, it all went like very organic. And just me making music. But that really helped me in the first place to stand out and reach the crowd in a different way than the other ones did.
Man, it's amazing to hear that. I'm, as you can tell, I'm doing my own podcast, so I'm a big believer in content and being different and really trying to push yourself to stand out. Because, I think the era of DJs being super cool, I think it's gone now. I think, like, it's not... Now it's, I don't know, it was the thing, like no social media, no this, no that. But unfortunately, I don't think it's sustainable now in such a competitive industry. And like what you've explained there, it highlights the fact that anyone could create a viral video tonight. Like you've got to think, I guess, to do something. It doesn't have to be funny to stand out, but
of course,
it can be anything.
That was really the vibe for me to begin with, creating social content and doing more and just be interactive with the people I follow. Do like win actions and just do stuff that the other ones didn't do, and that really helped. Just and still, like the first 3 tracks I've made, I've made video clips for them myself. Because I thought, like, okay, I wanted to have it on YouTube, but I don't think an artwork is cool enough. Okay, so I put a GoPro on my head, I taped it around the cap, and I would follow a day I did, and I've started making like content, and you don't have to have a lot of money to make that kind of stuff. Yeah, if you want a video clip back in the days, you have to pay like 15,000 euros. But I thought, like, I have a GoPro. I'll just make something myself and edit it in iMovie. And then, make kind of, I don't know. It's just funny.
You can do crazy shit, man. I know some people feel uncomfortable doing it, but I guess you just do what you think's fun. And if it doesn't work, you just delete it if you need to and try again. There's literally no pressure. But it's refreshing.
There isn't a good or right, because some DJs are the best being themselves in the studio, just making music and forget about all the social content and stuff. Then do that. But if you think like, okay, how can I do stuff a little bit different? If you want to approach it another way, just do it. And that's also the fun thing, because I wanted to. Look, with sending music around, it's really hard. It's now you can send tracks to people on Instagram or mail, WhatsApp, whatever. But I really wanted to have Seth Foxer have a track of mine, and I was like, okay, mailing isn't working, USB stick isn't working. Okay, how can I send him a track? So I thought, okay, let's do something more than just the usual. Hey man, here's a track. Like, he receives thousands of times a day. I thought, okay, why can I do it the Seth Foxer way? And the video of him, hey, I'm Seth Foxer, and where he's naked with the little pug in his hand. I thought, like, okay, maybe I can do something like that as well. And I made a video of me in my boxer shorts with a glass of red wine in my living room, like, and I told him, like, hey Seth, it's Luke. You don't know me, but I know you, and I made you a couple of tracks. I think you might like them. And I made like this little video. That was actually the first time I drank red wine, because I didn't thought I like it, and then I took a sip and I was like, oh, it's actually pretty good. But anyways, red wine is fine. I made this little video and I made these tracks and I sent it to him, and still no response.
Oh shit! I was gonna say I was waiting for that to end. I was like, wonder if he did. I was genuinely
Nope.
interested to know if he replied, but
But
nothing.
sometimes it doesn't work, but at least I tried. It sounded like a very good idea. And sometimes it does work, and then he if he saw it, he's never gonna forget something like what. Yeah, so I thought like, okay, crazy. Let's do
So,
it that way. But anyways,
yeah, Seth, if you're watching, Luke's still waiting for a reply.
yeah,
But yeah, I think ultimately there, it's about doing it your way. And if you don't feel comfortable doing this kind of shit, which most people don't feel comfortable posting a picture in their boxes with a glass of red wine, that isn't what's needed. But it's just
no,
finding
no,
your own
definitely
way
not.
to do it. And this, yeah, it's like some people do best just doing their studio clips and just sticking to that, and that's completely one way to do it. And it's figuring out the way for you. I think if you do something which doesn't feel right, it's going to be hard to do it for a long period of time.
Definitely,
If
it's just finding your own way, and also like if you have managers, let's say like, hey man, you got to do beatport charts, and if you don't believe in that, maybe just don't do it. Yeah, you can try, but like the thing with beatport charts, it's super easy. You can just do it. But it's also with social media, because I was always so much on social media, that I always thought, okay, SoundCloud, I have to do something more on SoundCloud that I can't do on Facebook and Instagram. So yeah, make mixes, do free downloads. Okay, Facebook is another platform than Instagram. And like back in the days, Instagram was, yeah, you only can post like 14-second videos, only squares. You didn't have stories. Post other content there, and I posted other content on Facebook, and that's just I really searched for the right platforms that could like give me some more power, and it's always just, but it has to feel good, it has to feel good. Now also with TikTok, people said like, hey, maybe you should do stuff on TikTok, but uh, I don't know. I don't really feel like it's the platform for people that would really like my music. So just forget about that and put all your energy in something else that you do believe in. Making content yourself, doing stuff like you do. That is just, yeah. Yeah, we keep
Yeah,
saying it. Yeah.
no, you're right there, man. TikTok's interesting. Someone said
It
that to me
is.
last week. Someone said to me last week about TikTok, and I thought, like it's kind of like, is it for us or not? But man, that shit is going viral. Like things go crazy on there, like crazy. And so it's, I don't know. I think if you want to get something, if you want something to go viral, the easiest platform to do it is definitely TikTok by the sounds of it. And it could be, I don't know, you film your keyboard, play the melody on there. And I've
Yeah.
seen Odin and Fatso doing some really cool videos on Instagram with like 1 million views on the reels. And I guess if you're gonna make a reel, you could just put it on TikTok as well. But yeah, I think it
Of
comes
course.
down to the more bases you cover, the chances are you kind of increase your chances of exposure. But also as the trade-off, if you start doing TikTok, that means probably less time to make mixes, or
Yeah.
or less time to make music. So it all comes at a trade-off. It's finding what you feel comfortable with and what you're willing to put working on.
Yeah, defo, and it's also because like I found my power in social media back in the days where other DJs were lacking because it was new. They probably didn't believe in it, but I found a way in it, and I did something with it. And as well as now, times are changing, platforms are changing. Like the world is still super commercial, and the commercial game is changing a lot. Like 4 or 5 years ago, we didn't even heard of the word influencer, and now it's the most common thing with advertising. So everything is changing. So you do have to, like, if you want. If you don't want, that's also fine. But it's also good always to look at other platforms and see if you can do something with it, or do something original with it. But you do have to believe in it. That's also because like things now are super weird. Like Corona times, it's so weird. And also when I didn't have gigs in the beginning. I thought like, okay, I still have to connect with the fans, but in another way. And I started doing this. I started something like, it's called Dinner Date, and I went live on with someone on Instagram, and we would like have a eat with each other and ask each other questions. And I thought, oh, that's a fun thing, but it isn't my core. It isn't my core business. I'm not an interviewer. I'm not a podcaster. And then I thought I did it 3 times, and then one time I was like, I'll do it next week, and it never came back because I didn't really believe in it, and I thought like, okay, I should focus more on just making music, and that is also fine. But I tried. I tried, and I know it's not something for me, and yeah, that's also fine.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid. That's always key in this business. Don't be afraid. If you make a lot of tracks and you're afraid to send them to people, just send it, man. Just send it. Oh, but if you're afraid, if you're not getting response, yeah, you tried. So okay, there might be some DJs really liking it, and yeah, it's with everything. But don't be afraid and just do it and see what happens.
I agree. And do you think being young in the scene has been to your advantage or to your disadvantage?
That is a really good question, because I'm listening a lot to a podcast in Holland. It's called Bucky Bucky, and it's a really cool podcast, and they talk with a lot of people in the scene. But they're all like people in the scene who already been in the scene for like, I don't know, 20, 25 years. And they all have different stories, but like really different stories compared to mine, because they all grew up in a record shop, and they worked in record shops, and they were flyer people, whatever. So for me, it was in this game, like it's in the more underground game, it's everybody has a lot of experience here, and I was just a new guy, and that was in the beginning that was a little bit tough, because the most people that knew me from the guy that went viral on social media, and oh, look at him now getting gigs now. Yeah, that was quite tough, because what was also super nice, because I got gigs, but I was always looking for I was caring way too much what people think about me. Like, I was 18 and already playing house and tech house in clubs with people that were like 35, and they were like, yeah, there's the young guy, doesn't know all, and so that was quite hard. But I thought, okay, but I just really want to see that I'm here to stay. Like, I really can make music, and I've been like, this is my biggest passion, and I'm looking up to a lot of people, and I thought, okay, how can I win their respect? I was way too busy with trying to win respect from other people, and I just went to the studio and made house or techno, or I thought like, oh, maybe they like this, and I was gonna make something like that and sending it to them. And then when someone said like, oh, I didn't know you can also do this, and I was like, okay, yes, okay, that's one. Okay, we got like 10,000 to go. Okay, let's go. But that was just quite tough, because I was just a newbie and still learning. Like, okay, yeah, I was playing tracks, super commercial tracks that were that everybody knew, but that's just fine, because it's still about DJing and what the people in the club want to hear. So what other DJs think of you it isn't as. It's all about the crowd. Like, if the DJs don't like you, it's about the crowd, and if they don't like you, yeah, that's fine then. And eventually, you start knowing people and talking with them, and sending your tracks, and then just getting in there, and then eventually you get respect. That's just how it works. And yeah, it's complex, but it's still super nice, and I'm still happy that I'm 25 already, man. I feel so old, but I still have so much to discover. I never went to the USA. I've been to Ibiza only 7 times. So there, and I never went to Berlin. I'm still figuring out a lot of music, a lot of DJs, and it's so nice that I feel so eager to learn, right? And that is, if you're eager to learn, that is the most important thing, because you don't want to get lazy, and you just want to express yourself and see what you like. And the last 2 years, I'm really finding a sound that I really, really, really like, and it's just house, it's tech house, it's melodic, it's whatever. It's just, but yeah, that's just me, and I think that's also important, because that's also sorry, that's also something else, because it is in Holland. You have a lot of like DJs that stay true to their sound, and I feel like I always did more than just one thing. Like, and that is a strength, but that is also not that very good, because sometimes you just release a track that the other 50% of your followers don't like, and then you release something that the other 50% likes, and that is quite hard, because I have the feeling, because of that, I have more followers maybe, but I don't have diehard fans. Which makes total sense, because yeah, you can like this track and then don't like that track. Yeah, that is quite. DJ wise, it's super nice, because I can play in the Shelter, a 4-hour set before Joseph Capriati, or I can play an Awakening stage before Patrice Baumel, but I can also get booked at a tech house party and play with my friends Tussie, Another, and all the other boys, which is also good. Yeah. What do you think about that? Is it good to have like more sounds, or staying true to something, or?
Well, an observation I've just made there is we're both 25, and I think we both have similar feelings in terms of we're constantly kind of evolving with what we're into.
Yeah.
And when I look back, I think at 18, I was very in touch with the party. When I was DJing when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, I was so in touch with the dance floor. I was really disregarded what the DJ after me kind of thought. I knew what the crowd wanted, so much so that I almost felt like it was just one big. I feel like when I was that younger, maybe 21, I was DJing and the party was fucking going off. And it was very carefree with my selections, and it was kind of just like, not chin stroking at all, no kind of not trying to be too cool ever. It was just kind of playing tunes for the dance floor.
You were just being a DJ.
Just being a DJ, providing a service, making the best party possible. But I do think as I've got older, I now look back then and kind of think sometimes I'd kind of rush it, play that big banger, maybe 2 tracks too early and things like that. And maybe play a track, and, just play that crowd pleaser, which I know everyone's there for a good time, but it was kind of sometimes the easier option. Whereas now it's kind of like I maybe prefer to build it and play that record like you think, will this work, will it not? But I think because we're younger, we've learned so much in the last few years, and it's only normal that our sound's changing, and we've not nailed down a sound yet because we're so young, and we're still finding all this music, man. Like most DJs, I'd say on average they start releasing music when they're like 30, and that's a lot of time to figure out kind of like what they actually like. So you could arguably say, I do think sometimes maybe my first few releases are rushed. I didn't really have an idea then, but because I was young, whereas I think if I'd started producing and DJing later, I think I would have been much more calmer and wiser, and I'm much more calmer now than I was 2 years ago. I know that for a fact. 2 years ago, I would say crazy, kind of. Not crazy, but I was much more kind of reckless with my actions and reckless with my weekends and reckless with everything. And I think whereas now, say I had never released music now, I'd be much more kind of strategic with the process. Whereas when I was releasing music at 21, it was kind of just like, put that track out, put that track out, put that track out. And I think that was just kind of being young and excited. And then since that, the influences are always changing. I kind of just keep getting deeper down that rabbit hole, like we kind of spoke about before. And I really am into more obscure, kind of weird stuff now. But I like to use that to make more not the word, but user-friendly tracks that can be played in a big room at a club and are relatable to the scene in the UK. Because I'm fully aware that if I started making super weird underground wonky tunes, it probably wouldn't resonate that well with the fan base I've already built. And it's that trade-off between what's going to work on the dance floor and what do you believe in. And I think you need to find that medium between the two.
Yeah, of course, and it's also I'm really a fan of just. I think it's more important to put something out than not putting it out because you don't really feel it. But that's just what you say. That's just being young, and I think also you're also educating your followers. So if they like, you can go a little bit more deeper eventually, and if you evolve, but you bring it good enough, then they evolve too. And yeah, that's totally. I totally get what you're saying because like before Corona, I also when things get a little bit like tough on the dance floor, I would just play that easy track, you know,
The
like
Slammer Man.
that little bootleg or that super epic snare roll. But now I'm getting so much. It's definitely because there aren't that many parties, and I found so many more cool and deep music. And on live streams you can just play that. But I also had the urge so much to just deliver so badly, and that was kind of a trap for me because like I think I'm to be fair, I thought maybe this isn't happening anymore, but like 3 years ago, I think I'm a better warm up DJ. I think I'm better from 10 to 3, let's say, a set in shelter, 10 till 3. Because I can just build easily and get the people with me and just creating a vibe. Then I would play a closing set from 5 till 8 because I know me. If the DJ before me smashed it, I want to smash it more, and I'm just I'm gonna top that shit. But and then eventually, if I'm playing like a 1.5 hour set, it's just fine. But then eventually a 3 hour set, I was just going up and up and up and up and up. And then eventually I was just like, what am I going to do? And now I found so many more cool music that also has that energy, but isn't that well known or has more deep vibes to it. And it's gonna be weird, man. Playing again. I played the radio 2 weeks ago. And I played a 1 hour set, and it was a mess. It was a mess. I wanted to play everything. So I wanted to play energetic stuff, more quirky electro shit, deep stuff, and it is gonna be a little bit weird. But yeah, I think it's good. But it's also like I've been touring more and more and more for the last couple of years. My first gig in England was, I think, three years ago in Liverpool. And then I had one gig in a year in the UK. And the year after, I had 3, and now I should have had like 5 or 6. But playing in the UK is also very different than playing in Holland. And I was so used to Holland. For instance, here just. If the DJ, if the crowd isn't feeling, if the crowd is like, has enough of your banging stuff, like they're like, okay, yeah, it's all nice now, thanks, man, nice. Then you would just, I don't know, put a little break in it, do like an acapella or something, create tension again, and then just, bam, right back at it again. So that was kind of a trick in Holland. If you want to wake up people again, build something. But I noticed that for me in the UK, it's more like the train. It's more like the vibe. It isn't about mixing a new track every 2 minutes. Like in the UK, people like in Holland, people want like every 2 minutes a new track. And in the UK, it's more. I noticed for me, just more like a vibe, like a train, take me then on a little trip. So yeah, it's quite it's fun to see how every city, every country has its own way of DJing. And I was only just getting learning everything, how that works, playing in South America, playing in England, in Spain, next to Holland.
Yeah, I think the big word here is patience. I think that comes with age. Like literally, like I'm so much more patient DJing now than I remember when I was younger. Like, yeah, I don't know, mixing tracks too quick, and I think when you just take it's a real skill. You know, when I see even my friends that don't play in clubs that much as compared to me, when they go on, their heads down and kind of get lost, and the records don't pick themselves. They're kind of too, you know, like flicking for the USB, going through the bag. Where now I try and really make a point of kind of stepping back, having a drink, having a cig, you know, and just like taking the whole vibe in and kind of thinking what's going to go on next, you know, instead of like picking the track, queuing the next one, your head's already in the USB like that. You're looking through the USB before that track's even mixed in, you know, and before you know it, you're kind of just completely just stuck here. Whereas I think for me, it's so hard though, because you almost get immersed in the party, and I know you want to be completely in the zone, but I think it's really important to be aware of the atmosphere and what's going on, and not just be kind of stuck with your head down, flicking through your USB and mixing tunes in dead fast. And I don't know, I think it's something I probably used to do more when I was younger. Just I think the excitement as well. You get excited, and it's so easy just to kind of be super fast and, you know, and all in.
Yeah, it's back like two years ago when a track didn't really work. I was like panicking and like, okay, shit. Okay, the track after this, it has to be sick. And now I'm just more like, okay, it's okay if a track isn't that sick. The track after that is also just like, it's just what you say, like building, just like playing 2-3 nice vibe records, and then one that is like totally party. Because that I really learned from the dance floor. I really learned so much going to parties, and I went a lot to VBX in Amsterdam, and that's really where I saw that it isn't all about the big tracks. And VBX is a really good. They just play like super minimal tracks for like 15 minutes. That it's more of a vibe. It doesn't scream for attention. It's just more of a vibe of a train. It's just easy, where you can just dance and talk, and then they play one record, and then the whole club explodes, and then go on that trip. And what I really saw is that if they were playing that way, I could just stand there for like 10 hours. And I don't really do drugs or anything, so I just for 10 hours straight, I'm in that club there and just vibing. And if I'm at a party where I don't know, I would play, I would be tired at like after 5 hours, because I was like, oh shit, I can't take it anymore. So that's also, it's just a way of I don't know what's good or right, but it's nice that we're both evolving and seeing what's else is there, and that's kind of key, I think.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned VBX, because Ferro has played for our party a few times, and Reese, and I've got a really good relationship with them guys, and I learned a lot from Ferro in that vibe that he's. I've seen him play like kind of these really cool minimal tracks, and then plays that one party track and the room erupts, and it makes. I think he even said to me at an after party, he was like, "Slow down, don't mix so quick," and it was just like that kind of excitement. And then I think he's actually said that to me directly, like, "Slow down."
Nice. But I can imagine Jasper says that. That's also. I was the first time Height came to Holland, like the party from Lokedice and Liebing and stuff. I was booked there, which was crazy. It was my first really, really big party in Holland, and was playing at Height. That is the Ibiza party. That's the first party I went to on Ibiza, and it was just crazy. Sorry. And I was booked there, and I was booked from they had two areas. They had Huxley as a headliner, Sluwe Vos from Holland, me, Water S, Space Dimension Controller, and Alias Mazian. I don't know. There were two rooms, but the tickets sold so badly that they had to put it in one room. So I was like, oh shit, I'm playing the main room now. That's cool. Instead of warming up the second room. But they said like, yeah, you're going to play from 6 till 8 in the morning, and I was like, whoa, that is like early, but okay. Wow, okay. So I had to play after Huxley and the Slew of Voss. Basically, they were just playing techno there. They were just playing techno, and I was like, yeah, okay. What? Okay. I was so nervous. How can I top this? And the night was so much, and then eventually I thought, okay, maybe it's time to groove, because it was just like bounce, bounce, bounce. And I thought, okay, let's groove. And then I took a little back to 126 and started grooving and just playing like I played a Rado track, I think, and it really went off. People just were so ready for that sound. So sometimes you really need to take a step back to top it over.
Yeah, and believe in yourself. I think with both experiences, when you go to a club and you're booked with someone else, they may play their thing, and it's being able to be confident and do your thing after it, and believe in your sound. 'Cause it's easy to think like, oh, he's playing that and should I do that, but having confidence to do your thing. And that's something I've seen Ferro do as well at our parties. He's played after Leopold once and Ewan once. It's a quite different sound, and he really stayed true to his thing. And that's another point as well. Being mindful, watching DJs and learning from them. Doing my own party, I get to watch so many good DJs come and play, and I'm always very mindful when I watch them and thinking like, what they do and what works, because everyone does their own little thing, their own little way, and if you can appreciate that and take little bits from everyone, it can help you in your own skills.
Definitely, man. Yeah, it's good to learn, and yeah, I learned from the best. Going to parties, going to Slapfunk, VBX, like those are the real hardcore DJs. Just they've been digging music. I asked Samuel Deep, like, man, how do you have these epic tracks? Like, come on, give me one hint, and I will just go into Discogs. And he was just like, hey man, just be a DJ for 17 years, and yeah, you'll have the cool tracks. And that's also now, like, it's so fun. I've been reorganizing my whole collection, and I've been going to very old playlists and finding out tracks that I was too scared to play back then, and I would rock them now. And that's just digging and digging and digging. I spoke to Julian Anthony, and I every track, like, if there's a DJ that plays a track, I'm asking him, like, hey man, do you know this track? Because he knows everything. And I said to him, like, okay, but how do you know everything? Now, just like, yeah, man, I just go on Discogs and I don't know, I choose land, Italy, year 1991, and I'll just listen everything. And I tried that once, and I was like, no, after like 6 pages of crap, I'm like, okay, I'm giving up. It's just it's crazy.
It's something I've dedicated a lot of time to digging for records, especially during the pandemic, I think, because there's been nothing else to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it takes time, man. Like, people ask me like, how do you find these records and things like that, and I said it's just a matter of time. There's not really a secret formula. It's just having the patience and also having a good ear, because I think it's actually a skill being able to tell if a track's good, you know, and visualizing, will it work? Like, there's tracks of sometimes, I don't know, you've kind of heard on YouTube, whatever, sounds shit, and then the record comes, it sounds amazing. But also vice versa. I've also bought records that sound good, then they come, then they sound shit.
Yeah, of course, yeah. It's something because I've got a new job now. Like, it's my first real job. The first job I had was delivering papers, and I bought my first DJ set from that, so that was good. And then I just grow into the scene. But now, yeah, because of the pandemic, yeah, we also need to make money, and I need to pay for this studio. And I'm now working for Amazon Prime and making and designing content for them, and yeah, which has been fun. But I also, like, I found myself like working on the one, and I'm really and having my own laptop next to it, just on Discogs, like going to sets and just put it on. epic DJ, the ghost cast. Oh man, those are sick. And just listen, and then sometimes cheeky Shazam over there. And yeah, don't tell Amazon though.
Yeah, I think it's just my advice to anyone wanting to dig for good records. It just takes time consuming. Just chip away, and it's like making music. You get better as time goes on. Like, you're not going to find the ultimate record in your first session digging, but after 15 years you might.
Yeah, and it's also because I spent a lot of time in the record shops here in Amsterdam, digging through the secondhand sections from the cool DJs from back in the days, and that has been really fun. You have a shop behind my house. It's called Killer Cuts. It's super cool. You have Seawolf now, which is crazy. But Seawolf is crazy. One of the DJs from the store, it's called DJ Sank. He plays slap funk parties and stuff. And I would just go there and dig all the day long. And he knows everything. And then I would just dig, and he was like, "Oh, here's like a pile with some tracks." And I was like, "Oh, okay, thanks." And I would just listen to them, and I'm like, "Okay, this is the best find I ever found before." And and then I would just I would go to him like, "I want to buy these," and he's like, "Oh, this one is 70 euros. Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, let me listen again." And I'm like, "Oh, I can't resist. Okay, let's go." And after, I would just rip it, and afterwards just put it on Discogs and see what happens.
Classic. So, Amsterdam living, are you living in your own apartment, or are you living in a studio? Or is it 2-in-1?
No, the studio is somewhere else. It's in Q Factory. It's in East. I live on the Dam in Amsterdam Centrum, and yeah, I've lived in Hilversum with my parents, and then eventually I went to college in Utrecht, and Utrecht also has a scene, which is cool. Slapfunk is from Utrecht, but I thought like, okay, I wanna get into the scene. I'm gonna dive into it, and I just moved to Amsterdam within a week, and I started to live here when I was 16, and I would just go to a lot of clubs, and that really just helped me. I just go to show my face, just go to a club, see who plays, and just like, "Hey, I'm here," and talk to people. I always, like 90% of the times I went on my own and just listening to music, see how the DJ mixes, and just talk to people, and eventually convincing them to book me, and then do my thing, and so on. So like, living in Amsterdam, it has been the best choice I've made in my whole life, because that it is such a small city compared to like Manchester or London. You can just bike from one club to another in like 10-15 minutes. So I would always do like a little bit of tours, going to the Sugar Factory, go to Studio 80, then to now you have so many cool places, and it really helped me just go to a lot of parties. I miss it so much. There's gonna be a test event in Shelter in 2 weeks with the Slap Funk crew, the Piff crew, the No Art crew, and the VBX crew. Man, oh, I'm gonna cry. I think
I'm jealous, man. I'm jealous. We've still got a bit longer, hopefully. This time next month, I think 5 weeks now. So fingers crossed, man.
Oh, geez, that's so good. Yeah, finally the terrace is opened here. So this is the first thing, but there's still no entertainment allowed on the terrace. Just they don't want you to have fun. That's all.
Oh, I know, man. So coming up, is there anything people should keep their eyes open for?
Yeah, Hot Tracks 4-track EP, which I really like. A more house vibe, tech house. Yeah, I really like that EP. There's also a more. I was asked to remix a track from Clooney, the When the Sun Comes Down, and when I got the request, I was like, this can be really interesting, because it's everybody knows the track, and like the vocals, it's something. So I thought, like, okay, let's accept that challenge, and I'm really happy with the track that came out, and I made something a little bit different with the vocals. So that one is coming first this Friday, actually, and there's a lot coming out. Also on the label, I'm so happy. The label is doing so good, and yeah, no, it's I'm in a very good place right now.
Good man. I'm happy. So you've got a busy summer ahead, I assume.
Yeah, release wise, yeah. Party wise, we'll see.
Fingers crossed, man. So
Yes.
I think that's it, man. It's been really, really, really fun, and I'm really appreciative of your time. And
Yeah, thank you, man.
Hopefully, I'll bump into you soon if you're in Manchester again. But to be fair, I think there's more chance of you coming to Manchester than me going to Amsterdam anytime soon, because England looks like it could be good
Yeah, right.
this summer.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, I'm getting my vaccine tomorrow. Finally. It's going
Good
so
shit, man.
slow here in Holland, but yeah, I hope to see you soon. Thanks so much for having me, man.
Thanks, bro. I will be in touch, and send me some of the new music as well. I'd love to hear it.
Yes, all good, man.